Okay, in the last video, I sanded these joints smooth on all four sides. My pencil marks are gone. Okay, this transition here is nice and smooth. Now, I'm ready to take this and set the fence to a certain distance and cut the lid away from the base. The way we'll do this is we'll get the fence set and then we'll cut, starting with the standing up tall, we'll cut through, turn it, through, turn it, through, turn it. In the last pass, the fourth cut will reconnect to the first cut and the lid should separate from the base. This part is critical. Make sure when you're running this through, your lid is against the fence and what will be the bottom of your box is not against the fence. I'll show you one that has been done wrong. This one, the student ran the base or the bottom against the fence and the top was away from the fence. And when it got separated, now her bottom is tiny and her lid is huge. Okay, so make sure, this is critical, as you run it through, the lid is against the fence for every pass. Okay, here's the setup. You're gonna set the fence to 1 3/4 inches. And then this lid will go against the fence. Do you see how this bear's ear pattern right here, I'm not cutting down the center symmetrical. It's off to one side just by a hair. So the fence setting, it says on the instructions about 1 3/4, but this measurement will need to be checked and will be affected by the thickness of your top. So if you have a thick top or a thin top, it pushes your box in or out. So this will be a custom measurement. Sight down the exact center of the blade, and I'm gonna scoot it over to the right just a hair, and then I can sight down the blade. Oh, this is what's happening. So sight down the blade, get it exactly right down the center of that bear's ear, and that's your setting. So it might be 1 7/8, it might be 1 3/4, it might be 1 5/8, okay? Depending on the thickness of your lid. I get down on my knees, I sat down the middle, I fine tune it, I adjust it by a hair. That is perfect. Okay, now, you don't want the blade sticking up a long ways. You want it the thickness of your walnut piece plus just a little bit. So if I hold this, you can't see this very well, but I'm gonna go to the thickness of my walnut piece and then just up a hair. That's how high I want the blade. Lid against the fence. For the first pass, you want it standing up the tall direction, not laying down the short one. Okay. After every pass, I'm gonna stop the machine, bring it around, and reposition to do the next pass. I don't cut and then return it while the blade is still moving. It's super dangerous, and you don't get as good of a result either. Rotate it this direction, roll it towards me, come over here and I'll do the second cut. Make sure during all these cuts it stays against the fence. It does no good to set the fence to precision measurement and then it's not against the fence when you're running it through. Okay, all four cuts will not line up, so have slight pressure in as you're pushing it through. Roll it up towards you. Third cut. bump the stop switch with my knee so I didn't have to take the hands off my project. Roll it towards me. This is the fourth cut. The lid is going to separate from the base at some point, so I want to keep both pieces moving. I don't want to be pushing on only the base or only the lid because they're going to come apart. So keep both moving all the way through, and don't pinch this because then you're closing the kerf right here and it will kind of pinch on the blade down lower too. So just push it through consistently. Wait. Okay, there it stopped. Now I have a lid and I have a base. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is these joints, I can never ever get them perfect. So you see right here how this cut and this cut didn't line up completely. This one is a hair higher than this one. Okay, it does that on all four corners. Some are better than others, some are worse than others. Squiggle a pin. This pin's not working very well. Squiggle a pin all the way around the top edge of your box and all the way along the base, or sorry, the lid. And then take it over the sanding block, which I know you guys love so much. The only proper way to flatten these is to use this sanding block. If you use hand sandpaper, you will round the corners. Then when it matches up, you'll have a rounded corner sitting on a rounded corner instead of using the sanding block, which will keep all this level and flat. This is the part that everybody hates. Sometimes it makes this nasty noise. Just power through it. Okay, I'm trying to remove all these little pin marks until they're all level. Every once in a while, stop, flip it around in case you have more pressure here than here. You could even count, like I did 10 strokes this way and I'll do 10 strokes that way. You could count. Flip it over. You can see this is a high spot. I got that. There's no more pin. You can see there's a low spot in this corner. There's a low spot over here. Low spot over here. Anywhere there's a pin mark, it's a low spot and you got to get it level. I'm going to go fast. Okay, all my pin marks are gone. This whole thing is on the same plane, on the same level. There's no misaligned joint. I'm gonna take my base. Flip. Little bit of pin left in this corner. Everybody's tempted to get sandpaper out and just sand away the pin. That's not leveling, it's just getting rid of pin. Don't do that. You gotta think. This is my low spot. Everybody thinks, oh, I just have to sand a little bit there. Actually, you have to sand all the high spots down to get to the low spot. So you're actually sanding 3 sides and you're not sanding that corner quite yet. Just a hair right there in that one corner. Every once in a while, if the sandpaper gets full, take an air nozzle, spray it out so it's not all full of sawdust and you're using more of the sandpaper. That's level. All the pins gone. If I take my top. These should not have any rounded corners. This joint right here should be perfect and almost invisible. You can also tell which way this goes together. If you look at the side, the grain in this piece is continuous. Okay, so this grain loops around and turns a corner there. If your lid's on wrong, the grain is disjointed and it doesn't line up with itself. So you can tell how this goes back together if you look at some of the grain. Over here on this box is a perfect example. See how that joint goes right through the middle of that knot? And if I flip this lid around and put it on backwards, the grain is disjointed. So that's how they'll go back together.